Okay, men, black men especially, please answer me this. Why is it that many of y'all refuse to go to curated dating events? I'm talking about events where the vibes are already set, the ambiance is right, the music is good, the drinks are flowing. You're basically guaranteed to meet somebody who's actually interested in you.
So I've been seeing a lot of videos of women complaining about men not showing up to these single events, and I want to share with you some of the things that I've heard specifically from men and why they are just not going.
At every singles event, it's all women.
That's exactly
I don't want to do them anymore because it's so hard to get men to sign up. And I actually...
Yes, my friends, welcome back to another session. Yes, I know a lot of other content creators have covered this subject before, but I just want to add my 2 cents in and also say that, hey, the same problem occurs over here in Dubai. A lot of men don't show up to these events over here. I thought I'd put in my 2 cents just so that you guys can get my perspective, okay? So hit that like button, my friends. Subscribe if you haven't. Now, if you are a woman sitting there asking, why don't men show up to a singles event anymore? Here's the answer. Because for a lot of men, those events do not feel like opportunity. They feel like humiliation. Simple. That is the truth.
I walked into that event last night and I wanted to die. Everyone was so short. Every single man there was like less than 5'10", or 5'10" or less. I mean, none of them are attractive. No one, not one, was attractive. Not even like, oh, he could. No, not.
A lot of men are not avoiding those events because they are lazy. They're not avoiding them because they are scared of women. Far from it. They are avoiding them because many of those events are a bad deal. Simple. And men know a bad deal when they see one. Come on, ladies. See, women will go online and complain. There are no good men out there. Or, why are there so few men? Or, men say they want relationships, so where are they? But very few women stop and ask the harder questions. Why would a man keep showing up to an environment where he already knows the odds are stacked against him? Why? That's the real question. Because what many of these single events have become is not a dating market. No, my friends. They have become a filtering room where a small number of men are wanted and the rest are there to be tolerated, ignored, or quietly dismissed. Humiliated, to be honest with you. And average men feel that immediately. They can feel it in the room. They can feel it in the body language of these women. They can see it. They can feel it in the eye contact. They can feel it in the energy. That's who we are as a human species.
So the guy's paid to be here. That's what's weird. And there's a lot more girls than guys. So that's weird. I don't know. It just doesn't really make any sense. But there's so many girls here. Everyone's so pretty. But the vibes are a little weird.
A man walks into that room and within 10 minutes, he already knows what kind of night it's going to be. I guarantee you, ladies, he already knows whether he's wanted or whether he's just another invisible extra in someone else's fantasy. Men do not avoid bad odds. They avoid pointless humiliation. And this is where women often miss the point. Every single one of them. The men that most women actually want at those events usually do not need those events. Let me say that again. The men that most women actually want at single events usually do not need to come to the bloody single events. The men most women want are usually absent from structured dating spaces. Simple.
I'm going where I'm celebrated, never where I'm tolerated. Protecting your energy is not a crime. I've been giving y'all the game the whole time. When you follow your heart, you always win. I am who I am, who I'm not, I'll never be. That's my message.
The man with looks, status, confidence, game, money, strong social proof, and options is not sitting around hoping a church mixer or private speedy dating night will save his dating life. He does not need it, ladies. He can meet women through work. He can meet women through social circles, recommendations. People are usually throwing other women at him. He can meet women online. He can meet women through traveling. He can meet women through sheer presence, just walking on the street, just existing. Or he's already married. he's already dealing with multiple women, or he has decided that peace is more valuable than going to modern dating events. That's the guy that's just not interested in getting attached. But either way, he's usually not the one showing up to that event. So who's left? Mostly average men, regular men, decent men, men with jobs, men with routines, men who are not flashy, men who are not master manipulators, playboys, men who are not exciting in that reckless, toxic, movie script kind of way. And here's the problem. A lot of women do not really want average men, even when those women themselves are freaking average. That is the tension. That is the problem. That is the contradiction. That, my friends, is the market failure. Because modern women have been taught to see themselves one way, while men assess relationship value in a very different way. And we know what it is. Women think they're above men. Women may say, I have a degree, I have a job, I'm independent, I dress well, I travel, I have standards, I know my worth. And from her point of view, that sounds like value. But the question is not whether she sees herself as valuable. The question is whether the kind of man she wants sees her as relationship value. Those are not the same things. And this is where a lot of women get confused. Because modern culture has taught women to rate themselves through achievement, lifestyle, validation, and attention. But men do not choose long-term partners the way women choose long-term partners. Men do not sit there impressed because she has a degree. Men do not care the same way about her title. Men do not care that she can pay her own rent. Men do not usually care that she went to Bali twice and had nice nails and luxury handbag and polished social media pages. That may impress all the women. That may impress employers. That may impress Instagram, but that does not automatically move a man towards commitment. And a lot of women have not been told that clearly enough. And I'm hoping to drive this home to you ladies. Instead, many women have been sold a story. They were told, take your time, focus on yourself, girl, build your career, have your fun, do not settle. You are the prize, girl. Never date down. You deserve the best. Now, parts of that sounds empowering, and parts of that sounds attractive, and parts of that may even make emotional sense in the short term. But there's a problem. Reality still exists. Time, my friend, still exists. Competition still exists. Fertility still exists. Male preferences still exists. And the relationship market does not care about your slogans, your catchphrases. Strong and independent. That's where the pain begins, because a woman can spend years rejecting ordinary men, overlooking stable men, ignoring decent men, chasing exciting guys, sharing men, dating men above her commitment level, and still think that when she walks into a single event at 36, 39, or 43, that the room would contain the exact man she has always wanted. And when he's not there, she says, oh, there are no good men here. There are no good men here.
And is serious about dating. You're pretty much set up to win. Conversation starters and prompts so there's no awkward silence, a bit of a structured experience, and maybe a little turn up afterward. So my question is it that dating events like this require a certain type of intention and vulnerability, and the patriarchy taught you that pursuing connection with effort somehow makes you less masculine or something? Because the patriarchy told y'all that you're supposed to just stumble into love and not actually prepare for it? Because we see how that's turning out. The women are doing the work. They're showing up, they're investing, they're trying something different, stepping out of their comfort zone, taking risks. Isn't risk-taking a part of masculinity too? So what is it really? Is it the event itself or the unlearning the patriarchy part?
No, that is not always what happened. Sometimes what happened is this, ladies. The men you wanted were never coming. And the men who did come were never men you truly respected. That is a different statement. And that is much closer to the truth. Now, let us go to the male side for a minute, just for a second. Because average men are not stupid. Hypergamy does not disappear just because the room is full of singles, ladies. A lot of those men have already been to these events before. They have already paid the entry fee. They have already dressed up. They have already tried to be polite. They have already approached. They have already tried to start conversations. They have already been met with fake smiles, dry answers, distracted eyes, and polite indifferences. And after that happens enough times, a man learns. He says to himself, why am I doing this shit? Why am I spending money, time, energy, fuel, effort, and pride to walk into a room where half the women do not want to be approached by me, and the other half are waiting for a man who was never going to come in the first place? That is not a dating market, my friends. That is a ritual of discouragement. And after enough of that, men checked out. And that's what you're witnessing, ladies. Not always from women, but from those environments. And some men also checked out from the whole game completely. I will protect my peace. I will just focus on my money. I will travel. I will date casually. I will go where I'm appreciated. I will stop begging to be chosen. And honestly, a lot of men have reached that point, ladies.
I just don't enjoy it. It's not an enjoyable experience for me, and I don't like any of you.
Because men are told to keep showing up, keep trying, keep improving, keep risking rejection, keep leading, keep approaching, keep performing like some freaking circus clown. But modern women are rarely told to honestly recalibrate themselves. That is another problem. Men are constantly told to level up. Women are constantly told to celebrate themselves. You celebrate yourself, girl. Those are different messages. One message produces pressure, the other produces entitlement. And when you combine pressured men with entitled women, you get emptier singles events. Now, let me be fair. I want to be fair here. This is not all women, and this is not all men. There are good women who are realistic, feminine, cooperative, self-aware, and, serious about partnership. And there are weak men who are passive, lazy, bitter, socially awkward, badly groomed, broke, and afraid to lead. That is true too. I got to do the whole, not all women, not all men. So I'm not sitting here telling you every man is a victim and every woman is delusional, okay? That would be lazy. But I'm saying there is a real pattern in the modern dating market. And the pattern is this. Too many women want above their real leverage. Too many average men feel unwanted and opt out. And the men at the top do not need to play fair because they have too many options. This is the pattern. And if you ignore that pattern, you cannot understand why these single events keep failing.
One is just the events aren't really speaking to them. Sometimes the marketing really is something that speaks to women, and it seems like it is more female-centric, if you will. But it doesn't seem like it's an event that is really targeted to men. So I think sometimes marketing alone, the messaging, the different things that are being promoted can really determine whether or not it's going to be like women who are interested, men who are interested, in just the overall breakdown.
Because again, a lot of women say, there were no good men there. There were no good men and so many beautiful women. Well, I want to challenge that. Were there really no good men there? Or were there no good men there that gave you the emotional rush, the status bump, and the physical pull that you wanted? That, you get that wetness. No, that's the point. They weren't. Because they are not the same thing. A stable man is not always exciting on first contact. A decent man is not always magnetic in the room, full of filters, comparison, and social pressure. A husband-type man is not always the man who makes the room spin. But here's the problem, ladies. Modern women have often been trained to respond strongest to excitement, polish, charisma, edge, and confidence. And then later, they complain that the men they keep choosing do not commit. Well, yeah, because the traits that create short-term excitement are not always the traits that create long-term stability. This is the thing. You women are still acting like freaking young girls. Most of you are almost middle-aged. And that's the gap that ruins a lot of women. It also ruins a lot of good men. Because good men get overlooked early, then blamed later. That is one of the cruelest realities in the dating market. A lot of decent men are invisible when women are young, energized, desired, and chasing feelings. Then later, when the same woman wants stability, peace, consistency, commitment, those men have either withdrawn, hardened, become red-pilled, marred someone else, or stopped trusting the process. So when women ask, where are the men at? A lot of the answer is simple. The men were here. You just did not want them when they were available. And now the men that remain are more cautious, more guarded, more selective, or more gone. So now let me push this one step further. There's another reason men do not want to go to single events. Public rejection hits men differently, ladies. Women do not always understand this. A woman can go to an event, get dressed up, look good, talk a bit, leave disappointed, and still feel socially intact, right? A man does not always leave like that. No, he doesn't. Because men are expected to move first. Men are expected to carry the interaction. Women are lazy with first interaction. Men are expected to risk the ego hit. Men are expected to be smooth, confident, funny, grounded, socially aware, and resilient. And every failed approach is a small public wound. Now multiply that by 5. Multiply that by 10. Multiply that across multiple events. You think men do not remember that shit? Of course they do. Of course. And after enough of that, they say, yeah, no thanks. Nope. Not because they are weak, because they are rational. Now here comes the brutal part, ladies. A lot of women do not want to hear that they're sitting in the same boat as the men they dismiss. Oh, you all don't want to think about this one.
Jenny?
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Are you single?
I am single.
What would you look for in a guy to date? What's all they gotta be?
6 foot.
Oh, how much money they gotta make?
Of course, if you can make $1 billion.
But that's often the truth. Think about it. If you are at a single event in your late 30s or 40s, and you are single, and the room is filled with other single people, and in your age range, the starting point should be humility, not ego, not fantasy, humility. Not this, I still deserve the best of the best. Humility, self-awareness, reality. That does not mean you have no value. It means you should understand your market honestly. Your sexual market value is the same as the other people in the room. It means you should know the difference between what flatters your ego and what actually builds a life. And this is where older wisdom has to step in, because younger thinking says, never settle. Older wisdom says, know the difference between settling and pairing wisely. Pairing wisely. You are not too good for a good ordinary man just because he's not exciting on demand. And a man is not a loser because he's not a player. In fact, the very men many women ignore in those rooms are often the men best suited for long-term life. But they're passed over because they do not trigger that fantasy. It don't make them get wet on command. And then later, women say, there were no good men left. No, my dear. What happened is many women were trained to crave a man they could not keep and overlook the man who might actually stay. That is the deepest tragedy. Now, how do we fix this? The fix is not more complaining, I can guarantee you. The fix is not more TikTok videos. The fix is not more female group validation. The fix is not telling men to just show up more. No. The fix starts with honesty. Women have to get honest about what men value. Men have to get honest about where they stand. Both sides have to get honest about age, attraction, leverage, baggage, timing, consequences. Women need to ask, am I screening for a fantasy or am I choosing for a real life? Men, you should ask, am I building myself into a man worth respecting, or am I just angry that women do not choose me?
What's been your biggest financial mistake?
My ex-girlfriend.
Oh, okay. In what way?
Vacations and, just dinners. Just
okay.
Didn't work out.
And this is why she's your ex-girlfriend.
This is why.
Okay. And if you could go back, what would you change?
That was a good experience. So lesson learned. I don't think I'd change much.
Lesson learned. So now just pay for less vacations and dinners?
Yeah. Stay single.
Stay single. Okay, that's the advice. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
That, my friends, is the real conversation. But until women stop overrating themselves for commitment, and until average men stop believing they should keep volunteering for rejection rituals, these singles events will continue to fail. Because the problem is not that men disappeared for no reason. The problem is that modern dating became a bad marketplace. And once a market stops making sense, people stop participating. Simple. That is what you're seeing right now.
You want a financially stable. Are you looking for certain numbers? Like
Yes.
Yes,
I'm
okay.
looking between 600,000 and 800,000. Obviously more is good, but that's what I want to start with.
So 600 is your bare minimum, you said.
Well, maybe 500. I mean,
Okay, we went down.
the cost of living in LA is so high. That,
It is.
And I really love to travel.
Okay, and you want like a man to cover for this.
If he can, yeah. Because I bring feminine qualities. I can cook. I can give good back massages. I can listen well. So I think it's only fair.
So it's worth it.
You're watching men leave a market that no longer feels fair, rewarding, or sane. And women are left standing there asking where everybody went. Well, I can tell you where they went. The top men went where they always go, towards easy options. The manipulative men, the players, they went where they always go, towards emotional loopholes, weak women. And the average decent men went where peace lives, away from humiliation. That, my friends, is why the room is empty. And until people start telling the truth about that, nothing changes. So no, the answer is not that men are intimidated. And no, the answer is not that men forgot how to date. The answer is much simpler. Men go where they are valued. Men invest where they have a real chance. Men return where respect exists. And when a room is full of women who still thinks that they're too good for the men in front of them, the men feel that immediately. They feel it. So they stop coming. That's not a mystery. That is market logic. And until women become more honest about what they actually qualify for, and until men stop wasting their dignity in bad environments, the empty chair at the single events will remain the loudest man in the room. So, my friends, hey, I have nothing else to say on this. I think I've made my point quite clear. Like this video on the way out, please, my friends, book a session if you need any help from the older man. I am here for you anytime you guys need me. Okay? So until tomorrow, remember.
Whenever in doubt, ask an older man. Ask an older man.
Yes. I'll see you soon. Cheers.